Come with me as I show you how to make the juiciest, most flavoursome roast chicken with that extra crispy skin. The roast chicken, arguably still one of the cheapest proteins that are available. £3.50 for that. It's a small one, but that'll feed 4 hungry people, no problem at all. And yeah, when you think of the costs of like lamb, beef, even pork can be quite expensive now, the roast chicken is still relatively cheap. But to get that perfect roast chicken with a nice juicy meat, nice crispy skin that everyone fights over, you've got to follow a few simple steps. But Uncle Adam's here to hold your hand and show you the way, so don't worry. Not only am I going to show you how to roast the chicken, I'm also going to show you the best way to carve it. So make sure you watch the video all the way through so you don't miss a step. So here are some of the things that we're going to use in our roast chicken. It's very basic, it's very simple. We use some cheap old veg. I've got some carrots, they're like 50 odd p. And the beauty of that is you can use some of the carrots to have with your roast dinner as well. Onion, got some celery, that was like 57p. You can have the rest for your salad the next day if you want. Bit of garlic, some lemon as well. And we've got some aromats, some herbs, some herbage. This is a roasted mix. It's got sage, rosemary and thyme in there. I'll put a list on the screen of some alternative herbs that you can use, even just some thyme if that's all you've got. This is a mixture of 3, it's like 75p. You know, you get all 3 in there. Got a roasting tray, of course. You don't have to have like a fancy one like this with a trivet. And obviously you got your chuck, your chicken, your big old bird. We could argue about the welfare of the chicken. Obviously this is a battery hen. And in normal times, I would say get a free range or a corn fed, or, you know, get a nice quality one from the butchers. But we're not in normal times, are we? We're all just trying to fight to bloody survive because we've got no money. So what I'm going to do is just clear this down because we need to do a bit of chopping. First thing I'm going to do is chop up some carrots. Don't bother to peel them. Just give them a bit of a wash. And then I'm going to cut the carrots down fairly small because we want them to cook through as the chicken roasts. Same with the onion. I'm just going to take that, peel it, dice it down into thickish chunks. You don't need to be too fussy with it. And same with the celery as well. I'll give that a quick wash. I'll use maybe 2, maybe 3 sticks of that. And I'll cut that down into little chunks as well. And the garlic, all I'm going to do with that is just take one bulb and slice it in half lengthways just to expose the cloves. So once all your veg is chopped, diced and what have you, your garlic as well, that can go in this roasting tray. Like I said before, you don't have to have one of these fancy ones with a trivet. Any old roasting tray will do as long as the chicken and the veg fits. Okay, don't have to go flipping bougie like this thing here. So that goes straight into the roasting tray. And this is going to be an excellent base for the gravy because all those chicken juices are going to collect in there with the veggies. They're going to roast down and it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Wedge in a couple of bay leaves. And now let's move on to the chicken. Chicken, the disrespect. Now, top tip number 1, or number 2, number 3, I don't know. Who's counting? Make sure you get your chicken out of the fridge a good hour before you intend to roast it, because you want the bird at room temperature. And the reason for that is if you were to cook this fridge cold, then the temperatures are all going to be all over the place. The outside's going to be warmer than the inside. The heat's going to take longer to penetrate through the chicken. So your outside is going to be overcooked, yet your inside, deeper into the flesh, it's going to be still raw. So by making sure your chicken is at room temperature, it's the same temperature all the way through, which means you'll get a nice, even cooking. So first thing I'm going to do is get my little trivet into the roasting tray. If you haven't got one of these trays, just plop the chicken straight on top of the veg. It's fine. Get your chuck, stick it on there. Then I'm going to take a lemon. Now, before anybody starts going, oh, Adam, you've put a lemon on the chopping board of raw chicken juices. It's all going in the oven. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to take half of that. The other half, I'll just cut into quarters. And that can go, that can go into the roasting tray as well. And then I'm going to get the lemon right in there, right up inside. Go on, have a good look. So just take your lemon. And I'm also going to take the herbs as well. A couple of sprigs of sage. Got some thyme and I've got some rosemary as well. Just like in a bit of a bunch like that. Take your lemon, stick it together like that, right up its arse. For extra flavour for the gravy, I'm just going to add a couple of sage leaves. I'll add that little bit of rosemary. Any of those bits that have fallen off, get them in as well. Then what I'm going to do is take some olive oil. You could use just plain veg as well, you don't have to use olive oil. Just drizzle some of that over the chicken. Give it a quick massage. Give it a spank. And I've also preheated my oven to 180 degrees C, that's fan assisted. Non-fan assisted, I'd say 200. Gas mark, again, 5, 6. And then we're just going to season it up. Some black pepper. Do it from a bit of a height. I know it's a bit chefy, but it does work. It sort of disperses the seasonings a bit more evenly. Same with some salt. Just get that on there. One thing I did forget to mention is it's a good idea. It's not 100% necessary, but just take a paper towel and just pat the skin dry before you add the oil, the salt and the pepper. I sometimes do, sometimes I don't. Depends if I can be arsed or not. And then to the bottom of the tray, I'm just going to add some water. Don't need loads. It's just enough to come underneath the veg. And what that little bit of water does is it stops the veggies burning on the bottom of the pan before the chicken's cooked. We still want to roast the veggies, but if you didn't add any water, then straight away they're going to burn and catch on the bottom. By adding the water, they'll slowly caramelise and they'll just be gorgeous and lovely. Just full of good tips, me and I. Once your oven's nice and hot, we can get this sucker in. Ooh. In she goes. See you in a bit, Colin. Now, cooking time, well, it depends on the size of the chicken for a start. And I could go on about, you know, sort of calculating the weight and like all this thing about 20 minutes per 100 grams or whatever it is. But the simplest way to check if your meat is cooked, get a probe. Honestly, they're a lifesaver. They're pretty inexpensive. You can get like really expensive ones. This cost me like 3-4 quid. Okay, and it does the job. And you want the internal temperature of the chicken to be at least 75 degrees Celsius. 75 to 80 is fine, which is around about 165, 170 Fahrenheit. That should give you a nice juicy chicken, but it's safe to eat. But I reckon that's going to take around about an hour, hour 15 minutes, maybe an hour and a half. I'll check it halfway through, see how we're doing, and keep basting it as well. I'd say every 20 or 30 minutes, just take it out of the oven. Any fat that's collected on the bottom, take a good spoon of it, put it over the top. That's just going to help you get a nice crispy skin.
One debt to society later.
Right, I think we're about there. So let's get this sucker out. Is that not one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen in your life? Look at it. But I'm just going to take my probe and go into the thickest part of the chicken. Hey, bitch. Don't touch the hot handle, Adam. That's a really stupid idea. Yep, so we're sitting about 80, so that is bang on. Now you might be tempted to cut into this straight away. Please don't. So I'm going to get it onto a chopping board because that chicken needs to rest. It needs to calm down. Because think about it, a chicken is a muscle, it's flesh. So when you cook it, all that muscle is going to tense up and go tight. By leaving it to relax and rest for 10 to 15 minutes, it's going to relax more, it's going to calm down, the juices are going to flow back into the chicken, and I promise you, you'll have the juiciest, loveliest chicken of your life. And it's taken every fibre of my being not to smash all that lovely crispy chicken skin in my face. But I'll be good. I won't have any. Yet. And you see all this wonderful veg, all the chicken juices, the garlic. That is going to make the best gravy you'll ever have with your roast chicken. And all you need to do is take a potato masher, fork, whatever, smash all the veggies, the herbs, the garlic and the lemon all together until you kind of, well, mush it up really. Get it back onto a heat, add a knob of butter or a bit more oil, add a tablespoon or 2 of flour, cook the flour out for a couple of minutes just to take the raw chalkiness away. Add some chicken stock, mix that all up until it makes a nice thick gravy. Add some salt and pepper if it needs it. Drain the whole thing through a sieve, but then you'll get the smoothest, loveliest, chickeniest gravy ever. Beautiful. So now that the bird is sufficiently rested, we need to carve it. Now what people normally do is that they'll probably take the legs off and then I'll start carving slices into the breast like this. In my opinion, that's a very unproductive way of doing it. So I'm going to show you an easy way, which means you're going to get the maximum out of your chicken. And the first thing I'm going to do with this chicken, like you usually would, is take off the drumstick. Just find where the joint is and just go through. So you've got your drumsticks. And then the next thing I'm going to do is take the breasts off, but whole. So start from the top, near the breastbone. Just use a sharp knife. Obviously make sure it's cool enough to handle, which this isn't to be fair, but I'm impatient. Get as close to the carcass as you can. Then once you're near that, just go underneath and just cut round until you end up with a whole piece of breast. Pop that to one side, whiz it round. Do the same again on the other side. Again, till the breast is almost falling off. Go around the other side and just cut through. There you have another breast piece. There's still a bit of breast on there, but obviously you're not making a video, so you can take your time a bit more with this. And I'll take the wings off as well. Then flip the carcass back over, and then we're going to try and take off the thigh. So you see where the parson's nose is? Just go either side of that and just kind of follow it round. You'll feel where that joint is, where it's loose. And just use your knife and follow it round. And it should just pop off. There we go, one thigh. Same with the other side. Follow that joint round, pop it off. Oh yeah, that's fucking hot. There's another piece of thigh. And with your breast pieces, all I'm going to do with that is just slice it on the diagonal into nice slices. That way everybody can have a piece of breast with a bit of skin on as well. That is, of course, if it makes it out of the kitchen. So there's our breasts, our 2 drumsticks, got our 2 thighs as well. And again, any extra meat that you want to pick off the carcass, you can. Our little wings as well. And there we go. You've got this carcass with all the herbs, the lemon, all that flavouring in there. So don't waste it. Let it cool to room temperature. Obviously, you're going to pick off any bits that are still on there. Stick it in a freezer bag. Put that in the freezer, and you've got the most amazing base for a soup or stock. Don't waste it. I'm actually baking. Who decided to roast a whole chicken in this stupid, muggy, hot weather? I did. But this is delicious. And chicken breast is usually the first thing to dry out. But that's delicious, it's moist, skin is nice and crispy. Quick, easy, simple roast chicken that's going to feed your family. It's going to get the most out of your chicken, lots of flavour, carcass left over for soups or stock. Magic. So there we go, that's a simple, easy little method that I use to roast my chicken. Showed you how to carve it as well and make an absolutely banging, stonking gravy. Got 3 for 1 in this video. Bloody feeling it, that's for sure. But listen, I'm going to bugger off, I'm going to leave you to it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment down below. Like, share, subscribe, all that kind of usual jazz. Share it to your friends and family and the people in need. Chicken is relatively cheap, couple that with a few roast spuds, a bit of veg, some stuffing if you want it, the homemade gravy, chef's kiss. But I'm going to shoot off, finish this, because I'm actually baking, and I'll see your lovely faces next time. Bye!